What or who have I been outsourcing my confidence to? Let this be a permission slip for you to believe in yourself and back yourself more than you ever have before. And I don't say that lightly, I genuinely mean that. Today, I want to talk to you about confidence and specifically rebuilding your confidence after something has happened. You know, like that thing that happened that shook you, that took you down a notch, that made you stop and question yourself. And specifically, like the focus here being doing the things, right? Like, you know that there are so many things that you wanted to, that you would love to experience, that like that action is required for you to live the life that you know you're here for, that you know you want. But it's a little bit scary, right? Like, some of these things are equally exciting and daunting, a little bit scary. And courage is something that I really love to talk about, and it is one of those things that is a core foundation of my life and of how I've been able to build the life that I have. And so therefore, like, courage is like, it weaves its way into all of the containers that I hold and the work that I do with clients. I seriously believe, genuinely believe, that the universe rewards courage. Like, it's a mantra of mine. That is a core belief that I have created. I never used to, mind you. But the more and more and more that I started to flex my courage muscle and practice being brave, the more that I saw like certain doorways opened and things happened and things fell into place and opportunities presented themselves that like it literally just wouldn't have happened if I wasn't willing to be courageous. And it makes sense in so many ways, right? Because you know, you literally show up differently, you take different action, therefore you get different results. But I want to talk about courage and how that links into confidence on an energetic level, because I really believe that it stems in what you embody. How you feel, the frequency you emit, what you embody directly affects the actions that you take. You know, it's like a cycle essentially, you know. And it really starts in your nervous system. It starts in the imprints left in your nervous system. See it as, okay, the imprint left in your nervous system directly affects the thoughts and the beliefs that you have. Those thoughts and beliefs directly shape the emotions that you feel. The emotions that you feel or don't feel directly shape the actions that you take. And the actions that you take directly shape and influence the results that you experience and therefore the life that you live. So if the imprint in your nervous system is, for example, a sensation, a feeling of I'm not good enough, that's going to create the belief of I'm not good enough, which then creates the emotions of of unworthiness, of inadequacy, of self-doubt. And then that shapes your actions or your inactions. And, you know, that's what stops you from living and doing and being what it is that you truly desire. So I hope like see it like that. I love to see it like that, as this cycle. And it really does start in the imprints left in your nervous system. And that links to your chakras, right? Your chakras are the foundation, the system within your body energetically. So these imprints are left in your chakras. And that's why I work with the chakras, is because they are, like, it just makes sense. They are this system to unblock energetic blockages left in your body that are the start of this cycle. We work backwards, basically. And like the solar plexus is the main chakra linking into confidence and courage and self-belief. Solar plexus is yellow. It's the base of your rib cage. I feel like the solar plexus, for me, funnily enough, as I'm sitting here saying this, has been like been the main chakra that I've been working on myself for the last few months, maybe like 3 months or so. And I noticed that because I could feel, like, literally physically is what it started as. It's just this sensation, this feeling of like in my chest, in my stomach. What's that part of my body called? in my stomach, just this like sense of tightness, and like is sort of how it felt. And that for me immediately makes me go like, oh, that's solar plexus work, confidence, courage, personal power. And I think that it's really fitting that I talk about this at this point in my life because of what I have been working on and journeying through and like firsthand experiencing over the last few months. And so I really want to invite you to see confidence as something that you have to self-source. And I think that so much of why we go wrong and feel insecure and doubt ourselves and self-sabotage and don't feel good enough is because you learn to outsource your confidence to other people, to things outside of you, you know, to your family, to your friends, to social media, big time, which is like this silent conditioning, right? It's not like a person, it's not even an object, it's just like this thing that is everywhere, weaved into it, you know, everything that is conditioning us every single day. But also work and money as well can be massive things that we can be conditioned to outsource our power to and our confidence to from such a young age. Of like, if you want to make it in the world, if you want to be good enough, if you want to amount to anything, you need to be successful, you need to make this much money, you need to have this criteria, you need to have a uni degree, whatever the hell it is. But there are so many little bits and pieces and people and things that we can unconsciously give our power to. And so my invitation for you is to start self-sourcing your power, aka your confidence, and taking it back. Starting to notice all the subtle ways that you have been outsourcing instead of self-sourcing. And this really is like a monumental shift, and yet it takes time. And I don't want to just like pretend that you can go and like completely shift and just start self-sourcing your confidence today, overnight. I feel like I've been doing this for years and years, and it's not linear. Oh my God, it's not freaking linear. Please receive that code. It's not linear. I reached a point last year after years of confidence work and like embodying it, right? Like not just, you know, I'm working on my confidence, but like literally like becoming a fucking confident woman. And then I experienced something last year that shook me to my core, that I could not control other people's actions, right? We can't control other people and how they treat us and the things that they do and whether they want us or not. And I allowed someone else's actions to mean something negative and limiting about myself. And the ripple effect of that was honestly like catastrophic for a little while, where it really knocked my confidence back. And that rippled into my work, that rippled into money, that rippled into my romantic relationship, that rippled into my friends. Like every area of my life felt the shockwaves of my confidence suddenly being outsourced to something outside of me. And it was really tough for my ego to accept that I had allowed that to happen after putting in so much work to my self-worth and to my confidence, to my self-belief. And so that alone like kept me stuck for months of like, I should be better than this. And like, no, like this is, I know better. Why can't I do better? And like, why am I struggling in this so much? And I had to reach that point of being like, it's not linear. Yeah, cool, I was soaring. Yeah, cool, my confidence was like so much higher and so much better than what it used to be. And life ebbs and flows, you know? That is the journey. It's not just up and up and up and better and better and better. The trajectory is better. The trajectory is going up. But it goes up like this, you know? It goes like waves. And that is literally one of the universal laws. The law of rhythm states that everything ebbs and flows in life. And I don't think that it is fair to expect yourself on a healing journey, on a self-discovery, a personal growth, self-worth, self-love journey to expect yourself to just keep growing and growing and growing. And when I look back at that as well, I'm like, that actually helped my confidence tenfold, because now that I got through that and really like took the pain there and took the self down and took the shit essentially and alchemized it, my confidence is like so much deeper and not just like bigger, not just louder, but like more rooted down. And that taught me that, it's not just about expanding and getting better and bigger and believing yourself more in expansion. If you just keep expanding, then at some point there's not enough grounding and you're just like, if the wind comes, you're going to fall over, right? And that's what I think like false confidence is. Like false confidence is loud. It's noisy. True confidence, coming from the soul, coming from your higher self instead of the ego, means being really deeply rooted down and anchored down. So that if someone comes or something comes and tries to push you and knock you over, cool, right? Like you're still standing because your roots are so far down that it's just like a breeze trying to wash over you, if that makes sense. I'm really like giving you the metaphors today. And so I want to share with you what I learned after that, because I think that a lot of you can resonate with maybe experiencing something that did shake you, something that did fuck with your confidence for a hot minute. And that window afterwards of navigating, finding yourself again. And a lot of this does come back to our relationships. I think that we give a lot of our power to the people that we are in relationship with typically. That is the world that we are brought up in. And whilst there is more and more and more really great learnings and teachings and coaching about relationships, like I definitely did not have good teachings about how to be in relationship with other people, attachment styles. And I really think that messes with so many people in our society and in our Western culture in particular. And so this is like coming back to that like self-sourcing versus outsourcing, where if you have experienced something recently with someone else that, you allowed to make it mean something about yourself that felt disempowering, I really hope that from this you can start to just slowly pull back your power and shift the way that you look at it. And this is also relevant if you're simply healing from the past as well. Because a lot of the time when we experience things that feel traumatic or feel unsafe or feel negative when in relationship with someone else, and you don't know how to properly process it, you don't know how to actually heal from that and come back to safety and not allow it to mean something negative about you, you store it. This is where these imprints that I was saying before come from. A lot of the time when you're actually working on deepening your confidence and self-belief, you can end up going back to like years and years and years ago. I often do this with clients and I often do this with myself. Like starting to question, okay, for example, like, why do I have this social anxiety? Like, is this just who I am, or did I pick this up from somewhere? And let me tell you, that social anxiety is just an imprint in your nervous system. You aren't an anxious human. None of us are anxious or depressed by nature. You learn to be, to survive. Literally, it is just a protective mechanism. That is your unconscious trying to do what it can to protect you. Because on some level, the idea of like socializing, if we're rolling with this example, or being around other people is a threat, because what if they hate me? Because they're judging me? Because I'm not good enough, right? If your core story is I'm not good enough, or everyone hates me, or I'm a loner, I'm a loser, I'm not likable, then those sorts of situations are going to bring out that anxiety, and they're going to fuck with your confidence, because that's the story, right? And so that's then how you show up, because it's like, okay, threat, need to protect myself. If I become anxious, then I'll avoid it. And I'll stay here where it's safe and familiar. Does that make sense? Right? And so it's not just who you are. And the thing about trauma, and we all have trauma, little t trauma or big T trauma, it can shape you to create an identity and a personality that isn't actually true for you, but it's built in your trauma. For example, I'm just a shy person, or I'm just an anxious person. No, you learnt to be as a means of self-protection. Or I'm just defensive, it's just who I am. I'm just easy to get angry. No, that's not who you are. Again, that is just a protective mechanism. And so confidence work on the surface is like, yeah, affirmations, mirror work, hot girl walks, etc. But confidence work, when you actually go deeper, really is trauma work. It is healing your nervous system, releasing and dissolving the imprints left in your chakras, left in your body from times in the past when you didn't feel safe, when you didn't feel good enough, and when you doubted yourself, when you weren't confident. And this can be big situations, like obvious ones. If you've experienced abuse in the past, of course that's going to directly influence your confidence. And even if you're like today as an adult, you're like, oh, but that was ages ago, I got over that. Yeah, but your body remembers. Until you actually heal it somatically, subconsciously, it's still there. You can't push that away. Suppressing that just keeps it there, bubbling below the surface, creating these patterns and personality traits and behaviors like anxiety, for example, or holding back, that are keeping you from the life that you ultimately desire. Like it doesn't go away by suppressing it. It's still there. But it can also be like little things, if you remember being a kid and like, let's say that you were in class and you called out an answer to a question and you got it wrong and the whole class laughed at you. And in that moment, you just like shut down of like, oh, embarrassment, shame, withdrawing. That can leave an imprint in your nervous system that then shapes your confidence today as an adult. Like, no shit. It is crazy the things that can leave a mark when you're a kid, because that age between 0 and 8, your brain is like a sponge. Your unconscious mind is being formed. It all comes in. It all soaks in. Yes, when you're past that age, you can still be conditioned. You can still experience things that leave an imprint, that affect your subconscious, that affect you today. But just that age as a kid is like the most easily influenceable. So this is a rabbit hole. It 100% is. This is why I work with people, because I'm like, you can't just listen to a podcast and expect to receive the answers and receive the healing that you're looking for and receive all of the transformation you're looking for. Like, it's not that easy. You can't be that passive. It requires you to show up and do the work and explore these parts of yourself. And that doesn't have to be really hard and draining and exhausting, which I know some people can do, because I've done that in the past. And that's like a thing in the healing world, is like over-identifying with healing, where it all just feels really hard and consuming and like a little bit obsessive as well. It doesn't have to be like that. It gets to be really empowering. And ultimately, what creates that, like the differentiation between healing being hard and draining and fun and exciting, is the meaning that you make. It is who you choose to be. It's how you choose to approach it. So much of that is your mindset. And so, like I was saying, like, this is the deeper work of, if you work with me one-on-one, or if you come to my She Awakened retreat here in Bali, or if you join my mastermind, Like, this is the deeper work of actually accessing this in your unconscious, both in your body and in your mind. Because I think that where a lot of people can be like swayed and like blocked almost is just trying to do this work from the mind, seeing the unconscious as just the mind. But your nervous system is also part of your unconscious. And these imprints are left in the body. These emotions are left in the body, not in the mind. So mindset work is amazing, but you have to combine mindset work with somatic work. Soma meaning body. So if you're wanting to really increase and deepen your confidence right now, I would start with questioning, okay, why do I struggle with my confidence? Like, hold on, let me zoom out for a second. Let me look at who I've learnt to be, who I am as a person. What sort of identity have you created for yourself? What sort of labels are you currently identifying as? Like what I was saying before. Oh, I'm just shy. Oh, I'm an anxious person. Oh, I'm just the one that hangs back. Or, I'm the loud, funny one. But on the inside, that's just the front. Right? You get off on making other people laugh because it makes you feel important, it makes you feel validated. That's the loud confidence. Whereas quiet confidence is truly authentic. Looking at those identities that, those labels that you've identified with, and questioning, where has this come from? Is this true for me? Is this actually who I am as my highest self? If not, where did I pick this up from? At what age did I start questioning myself? At what age did I start outsourcing my power to other people, to my environment, to my life challenges and situations? And maybe there is a specific incident that you can remember. Or maybe it's an age that comes to mind. If you're intuitive, then you might just hear in your head 5, you might hear a number. Or maybe it's more broad than that and you don't know exactly. Because for as long as you've known, you just remember doubting yourself and being shy and holding back and not really being overly confident. But this is all information that's really helpful, that's really useful. And there are so many things that you can do from here. There are so many practices, there are so many tools, there are so many rituals that I could guide you through. And that's why I suggest applying to work with me one-on-one or joining the retreat to really experience this, because that is where the transformation and shifts happen, not just from learning, but from embodying and experiencing and going through the metamorphosis. But if you're listening to this and you want to do something, because I love to give you practical, steps to take, my invitation would be to go and have a journal on what or who have I been outsourcing my confidence to and why. And that will probably be insightful as fuck. So I would start with that. And the biggest thing that has created a shift for me over these last few months after what I experienced, what I was saying before about something that happened that really shook my confidence, is changing the meaning. You got to understand how your brain works. Your mind will always make meaning about something. Whenever anything happens, it will put 2 and 2 together and create a story. Your brain works in stories, it works in meaning. And the reason why you suffer is because you have unconsciously created a meaning that is really disempowering. Okay, they treated me like that. That means that I'm not good enough. No one wanted me and my offer. Okay, that means that I'm not worthy. As in you try to start a business and no one's biting, no one wants it. Okay, well, shit, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. We make all these meanings. And so you could also look at that of, okay, well, what meaning have I been creating that's been disempowering, or if there's a specific incident that happened that you're still sort of hanging out in the after effects of, what meaning did you make about that? And is that serving you? Is that even true? Because a lot of the time it's bullshit. So much of the time it's not true. Like, please hear me when I say that. It's not about you. Someone else's actions has very little, if not nothing, to do with you. And everything to do with their own unconscious programming. Their shit. Their trauma, their beliefs, their imprints, their projections. And the unconscious person will simply project their programming onto you. And often, unfortunately, that's like hurt people hurt people. Not all hurt people. Some hurt people choose to channel their hurt into making other people laugh or making other people smile, right? Like, not all hurt people. But if someone has hurt you and done wrong by you, see it as like, okay, that is them passing on the cycle of their hurt. And so much of the time, like I would say 98% of the time, that is unintentional and unconscious. That doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it right. But it helps you see that it's not about you. And I can't tell you how many moments that I have experienced a full self-worth just shift when being presented with something in real time. Like, I mean, someone that I love has just done something to me that really fucking hurt my feelings. And I started like withdrawing and going into that like wounded state, right? Of like, well, I'm not good enough. Like, shit, this sucks. But then having this moment, like literally drawing on what I'm sharing with you here and being like, hold on a second, is this about me? Or is this about them? Yeah, this is about them. I do this with my parents a lot. I do this with my partner, not a lot, but every now and again when he does something that hurts. But which, like I said, he doesn't do that a lot. I wouldn't be in a relationship where the other person does that a lot. But it does happen, right? Like in relationships, like romantically, I think that there is this image and stigma. I feel like I'm going really off track, but this episode just is what it is. If it's relevant, it feels relevant in my heart. So just bear with me, go with me. But I feel like there's this stigma with like spiritual relationships and conscious relationships that is like really perfect and great and amazing because you understand each other and you can communicate. But there's a level to it that I don't think social media portrays enough, where there is a lot of hard challenges and triggering moments because you're both learning your own traumas and how to heal them whilst being in a relationship with the other person, because you're mirroring each other. Relationships are the biggest teacher, the biggest spiritual like opportunity for spiritual growth. And yeah, that sounds amazing, that sounds beautiful, and it is, but there's duality within that because it's also sometimes filled with hard conversations and tears and crying and being triggered and meeting your edges and facing your shadows and facing your traumas. I don't even know where that came from, but like that just felt really important to say. And so my point there being like, you gotta see is it's not about you, and you can't make it about your confidence the way that someone else treats you. So let's just call it back. Let's just take a breath here together right now and call back any power that you have outsourced to anyone else that has been draining your confidence. Yeah. Obviously, it goes deeper than that, but that's still a nice practice. And I do that actually. Like every morning, I start my day by like calling back any power, calling back any parts of myself, calling back all of my energy from anyone or anything else that isn't serving me, back to myself, back to my heart, back to my body. So feel free to take that on. There are a few tools that I would share with you for deepening your confidence and backing yourself. The biggest one being embodiment. I can talk about embodiment till the cows come home. Side note, but I actually figured out what that means the other week. I used to say that, like, I've heard that my whole life, like, till the cows come home. I only realized not that long ago that cows literally come home to sleep. Like, I hadn't really thought about cows a whole lot, but yeah, learning that they go out into the field and the paddocks and they eat and they roam, and then every single day when the sun starts to set, they come home, and they get really distressed when they can't come home. So yeah, that was a cool little life lesson. Anyway, embodiment work is, yeah, probably the most powerful, but in saying that, it's all powerful in terms of nothing is better than anything else. Like mindset work, somatic work, which is embodiment essentially, like they're both equally as important. And so is like soul work, connecting with who you are at a soul level, connecting with your higher self. But so embodiment is really essentially like tapping into the frequency of confidence. Like I was saying earlier, confidence is a frequency, it's an energy. And so that's why you can look at so many different women who look completely differently, who have completely different life experiences, and yet she emits confidence, right? And maybe she doesn't fit into the mold of like who you learnt you need to be in order to be confident. Like, I know we can't have this conversation about confidence and not talk about body image, because so much of our self-doubt comes from, okay, well, I don't look the way that I, inverted commas, should. I'm not good enough physically. I'm not good enough on an attractive beauty confidence level. I'm not perfect. Fuck the patriarchy and capitalism for making us think as young girls that we're not good enough and that we need to be and look a certain way in order to be enough. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And yet that conditioning is deep. It really is. And it's something that I'm quite passionate about. That's why, you know, you can look at a woman who's like 2 sizes bigger than what in your mind unconsciously you feel like you should look like in order to be confident, and yet she's just emanating, radiating confidence, because she doesn't have those same unconscious beliefs, not anymore at least. She's just in the frequency of confidence. That is why, like, people pick up on your energy. It speaks so much louder than your words. And so if you focus instead of like, not just focusing on like what you're saying and what you're wearing and what you're doing, but on emitting the frequency of confidence, other people will respond to you accordingly. 100%. And that's why confidence is often quiet. Like, real confidence will open up doors that you don't have to go and knock down and like tell everyone and justify why you're worth it and why you're amazing and why they should choose you and why they should want you. Whether that's in a job, whether that's in your business, whether that's in relationships or dating or friends or whatever the fuck. It's just this embodied knowing. That is what real confidence is. And like I said, you're going to fluctuate with how deeply you feel that. But that is why true confidence isn't just a feeling, it's a knowing. It's a knowing in your body. And so this is why embodiment helps to recode and recalibrate your nervous system. Because if your familiar is knowing and feeling, I'm not good enough, self-sabotage, insecurity, unworthiness, you actually have to recode that on a physical somatic level. And so embodiment walks, dancing, movement, but like conscious movement, you know, exercising, but like you're not just zoning out, you're not just pushing yourself, you're actually connecting with your body, feeling your body. And there's so many different types of body work healing as well. Chakra healing, so many different types of trauma healing that involve the body as well. Like, there's so many different amazing tools and techniques for embodiment. But if you're looking to just do this at home, I would start with embodiment walking, dancing, and breath work. Breathing, because your breath is the portal to your body. Your breath is the portal to regulating your nervous system. So doing that from this place of like, okay, starting to familiarize yourself, and I like to call it attuning with the frequency of confidence. What would it feel like if you were a confident woman? What would it feel like if you backed yourself and you believed in yourself and you did the damn things, no matter how you felt, no matter if you could fail? What would that feel like in your body to know that this is true, to know that you are safe to be confident? And again, that's where like the breathwork meditation can come in, because you can start to actually get familiar with what that might feel like. Because if you're not sure, if you've never felt it, it's a new sensation, right? So starting to welcome it in. And what helps you with attuning to different frequencies is finding evidence of this. So if your filter is, I'm not good enough, I'm not confident, I'm not safe to be brave, you will look for evidence of that everywhere you go. Like, for example, you'll have a conversation with someone and they seem a bit off. They're a bit distant. They're like not really about it. It just doesn't feel good. The vibes aren't there, and they cut off early and they leave you. And so you might make that mean like, oh shit, right? Like I fucked it up, and like I was boring. They didn't really want to talk to me. I'm not that interesting. And in reality, they just lost someone that they loved that morning, and they didn't know how to say that. They felt awkward saying that, so they were actually just deeply in their head, thinking and processing and just like coming to terms with that. Or they were just having a bad day, or they were just like feeling really anxious, and like you made it mean something about you when actual fact it had nothing to do with you. Versus if you start looking for evidence of, like I'm a confident woman, I do the things, I believe in myself and it's safe for me to do so, then you'll start to see, okay, damn, like I just went and like, let's just say I just had a conversation and I just nailed that. You know what? Like I'm really proud of how I spoke. I'm really proud of how I handled that. Or, noticing like I just wore an outfit that a confident woman would wear. Like I'm proud of myself for being confident enough to wear that. Or like there's so many different like little ways, right? Like you look in a mirror. Okay, finding evidence of like I am confident enough to look in the mirror. I'm proud of myself for that. Because maybe there was a past version of yourself who wouldn't have even been able to look in the mirror. So start to look for all of the little bits and pieces of evidence that you are in fact confident, that you can in fact do brave things, and like look for the courageous action that you're taking, even if that is getting out of bed some days. Damn, I fucking got out of bed when I did not want to, when it would have been so much easier to just lie here and not do it, not get up. Starting to reward yourself and see yourself differently, yeah? And mirror work is a really amazing tool for connecting with yourself and seeing yourself and deepening your confidence. I personally do mirror work most mornings, where I just like go to the mirror in the bathroom and just make eye contact and talk to myself and look at myself for like a minute or so. And I often just look into my eyes without saying anything and just like see myself. And this is a really great tool for just getting to know you past what this looks like, but just eye contact, getting to know yourself. Saying affirmations as well can be really empowering. It really depends on where you're at in your journey though. Like you got to check in with yourself there of like, what would be the next best step that would empower me in terms of mirror work? Maybe it's like literally just working up to getting in the mirror. Maybe that feels like a big step. Or maybe it's like moving from clothes to getting naked and looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing yourself naked, all of yourself. Maybe it's dancing. Maybe it's saying affirmations. Like check in with yourself, but if you want a really great tool, mirror work is it. I used mirror work daily, morning and night, when I first started working on my self-worth, my self-love, my confidence for like at least a year straight, and said affirmations. And it, to this day, I would credit so much of the transformation that I was able to create to that. Yeah. And when you're in those small moments, like just question, what am I making this mean? And is this true? What is a more empowering meaning that I can make about whatever has just happened? And I think part of this, like, there's so much I can talk about confidence, like literally so much. But part of this as well is your relationship to instant gratification versus delayed gratification. Because again, that's like outsourcing your power to, like, if people respond to me the way that I want them to, then I'll feel confident. If people congratulate me or applaud me or buy my shit or, you know, like praise me or want to date me or want to be my friend, then I'll feel confident. You know, it's like this limbo if. But life happens, and a lot of the time people don't play the role that you've scripted out for them in your head in advance, right? I used to do that all the time. I was like, visualize it and play the script, and then when they didn't play the script, I would like just feel so shit. In particular, like guys when I was dating. That's a whole nother conversation. Anyways, but that's like, it's just really disempowering. It's outsourcing. So when you notice that happening, really starting to like bring that power back and really working on like journaling and like doing somatic work on your relationship to instant gratification, which really comes back to your sense of self-worth. Self-sourcing it versus outsourcing it. And yeah, anyway, that's a whole other conversation, which I like won't go super deep into. But from here, I would really definitely suggest doing the things, because it's worth it, my love. Like the life that you are wanting to live and manifest and create for yourself right now is on the other side of the fear that you're scared to go into. The scary action is the doorway, it's the portal to what you are deeply desiring right now. And I'm allowed to say that because I live that. I really do. Like, I could give you so many things that I have done over the last just year, even 6 months, that have scared the shit out of me. But I knew on a soul level that it was right for me and that it would be worth it. Like, moving overseas was terrifying. So scary. Sometimes, like, running a business, there are so many small things that are terrifying. Being honest, being vulnerable, sharing my heart and soul through my podcast or through my emails or through my Instagram, putting my offers out there. Sometimes that's scary. Sometimes that is hard. And that's just like a daily thing, you know? No, it's not crippling because I've like built my confidence to be able to do that, but it used to be so damn hard. Having vulnerable conversations with my partner and sharing something on my heart instead of just like keeping it locked up, you know, opening to him instead of just contracting and going into my wounding. That can be fucking terrifying at times. Putting myself out there in the friend world in a new country, like making friends in a completely new country sometimes is scary as hell for me and can bring up so much of the like inner child and inner teenager shit and the sisterhood wounds. But for me, it's worth it. Running a retreat is like the scariest business move to date. To date. And I'm so glad that I'm doing that, because it's not even about me, right? Think about as well, like with the scary things that you want to do, but like, you know, it's scary. Think about the ripple effect of like who else that helps. Stop making it about you. That can really help give you that momentum and motivation to be like, yeah, you're right, I'm gonna just do this and stop letting my ego win. Because when you're in that self-doubt, sabotage, comparison, anxiety, ickiness, your ego is the one driving the car. And you can't talk your way out of the ego. Like, your ego can't talk itself out of being the ego leading, right? You have to connect to your highest self to do that. The more that you deepen your connection to your soul and your highest self, the easier it is to distinguish between your soul and your ego. And the easier it is to embody your highest self, because you can recognize it. That becomes your normal. Through meditating, through journaling, through talking to the universe, God, source, whatever higher power you connect with, through nature, through friends and connections who are also walking a conscious spiritual path and invite you and, you know, demand you to have those sorts of high caliber conversations. working with a coach or a mentor, or going to retreat, going to women's circles, going to workshops that help expand you to connect and like go to depths within yourself that you've never been before. So how would you know how to go there? Really focusing on that can also will massively help you with your confidence and your self-belief. It's also a choice. The last thing I want to say here is that it's literally just a freaking choice, my love. You get to choose to doubt yourself, to hold back, and to live with the consequences of that. Or you get to choose to believe in yourself. And one last little thing I would say as a part of this, and then I promise I'm done, would be go and find a photo of little you. And I dare you to try and tell her that she can't. Look into her eyes, see her, see what she's capable of. Remember who you are at your core, because she is you. And if she is capable of anything, if her potential is uncapped and unlimited, and that lives within you today, here, this version of you. So let her remind you of just what you're capable of. Remember what you used to dream about. What did you want to be when you were a kid? Who did you want to be when you grew up? Probably a million things. Or maybe one thing that you were so dead set on. Kids know and believe that they can do anything. Come back to that knowing. Yeah. I hope that this served you. I'm sending you all my love from my heart into your solar plexus. And if you want to deeply explore your solar plexus, your chakras, your confidence, your self-belief, and healing this at a soul, somatic, and subconscious level, there are a few ways you can do that. You can apply for one-on-one coaching with me, which is coaching and mentoring and somatic healing, chakra healing, all blended together in a really personalized way. So you can apply for 3 or 6 months with me, and I charge $888 per month. This is like the most one-on-one way of connecting with me and experiencing my work and the transformation of that. And that has to be an aligned fit, so that's why the application is there. But if you just simply want to reach out to me on Instagram and chat and let me know that you are curious and that you're thinking about wanting to work together, then just start there and let's just have a conversation. And then the next thing would be to come to Bali in August for our She Awakened retreat. It will be so expansive. Like, you will walk out of that a different woman. I can guarantee it. Like, I would like 99% promise it. I can't like legally promise it, but I would 99.9% promise that. So you can find all the links in the show notes, and I will connect with you soon and see you on the next episode.